everyone. I'm back to read chapter 2 of Magic Tree House, book number 8, Midnight on the Moon. So they had just landed in the Magic Tree House, and we were not sure where they are yet. Chapter 2, Space Motel. Jack opened his eyes. He looked out the window. The treehouse had landed inside a large white room. "What kind of training place is this?" asked Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. The room was round. It had no windows. It had white floors and a curved wall lit by bright lights. "Hello," Annie called. There was no answer. Where were all the astronauts and space scientists? Jack wondered. "There's nobody here," said Annie. "How do you know?" said Jack. "I just feel it," said Annie. "We'd better find out where we are," said Jack. He looked at the page in the moon book. He read the words below the picture of the dome. A moon base was built on the moon in the year 2031. The top of the dome slides open to let spacecrafts enter and leave. "Oh man," Jack whispered. "What's wrong?" said Annie. Jack's heart pounded with excitement. He could hardly speak. "We've landed inside a moon base," he said. "So?" said Annie. "So the moon base is on the moon," said Jack. Annie's eyes widened. "We're on the moon?" she asked. Jack nodded. "The book says the moon base was built in the year 2031, he said. So this book was written after that, which means this book is from the future." So think about that. We right now are in the year 2020. This book was actually written even more years ago. And I want you to pause, tell someone around you or a stuffed animal, would you want to go to the future? And why or why not would you want to go? So go ahead, pause, and talk about if you would want to go to the future. All right, welcome back. I think that I would want to go to the future because I would be really curious what new things had been invented. "Oh, wow," said Annie. "Morgan must have gone forward in time to borrow it from a future library." "Right," said Jack. "And now we're in the future on the moon." Squeak, squeak. Jack and Annie looked at Peanut. The mouse was running around in circles. "Poor Peanut," said Annie. She tried to pick the mouse up, but Peanut hid behind the mango on the letter M. "Maybe she's nervous about being on the moon," said Annie. "She's not the only one," said Jack. He let out a deep breath. Then he pushed his glasses back into place. "So what's a moon base?" asked Annie. Jack looked at the book. He read aloud, "When scientists visit the moon for short periods, they eat and sleep on the moon base." "A space hotel," said Annie. "I guess," said Jack. He read more. "The small base has a landing chamber and a room for storing spacesuits. Air and temperature controls make breathing possible." "So that's why we can breathe," Jack said. "Let's explore," said Annie. "We have to find the fourth thing for Morgan." "No, we should study this map first," said Jack. He pulled out his notebook. "You study it," said Annie. Jack copied the map. Then he drew in the treehouse. So here is the map. And he has the spacesuit storeroom and the airlock over there. And the rocket entry and the landing chamber. And that right there at the X is where the treehouse is. "Okay," he said. He pointed at the X in his drawing. "We're here." Jack looked up. Annie was gone. "Oh, brother," Jack said. As usual, she had left without him before they could even make a plan. So go ahead and pause here. And I want you to tell someone around you, how would you describe Jack? So think of what he's like and tell someone around you Jack is... So I wrote down 4 words that could describe a character, and I'm curious which ones you think describe Jack. So I have careful, silly, fearless, and smart. So I'm thinking 2 of these describe Jack well, and 2 of them might not describe Jack that well. Do you think careful describes him? Yeah, I think we could say Jack is definitely careful. I'll put a little check there. Do you think silly describes Jack? I don't think so. I'm going to cross out silly. Do you think fearless describes Jack? No, he definitely has some fears. I wouldn't say he's fearless. What about smart? Yeah, I would say Jack is smart. I think both Jack and Annie are really smart. Jack put the moon book and pencil into his pack. Carrying his notebook and backpack, he started out the window. Squeak, squeak. Jack looked back at Peanut. The mouse was running back and forth on the letter M. Stay here and be safe, said Jack. We'll be back soon. Jack swung himself over the windowsill. His feet touched the floor of the landing chamber. Annie, he called. There was no answer. Jack looked at his diagram. It showed only one way to go. Jack walked along the curved white wall to find the stairs. He climbed the steps to the hallway. Jack, hurry! Annie was at the end of the hallway, standing in the airlock. She peered out a window in a giant door. Jack hurried toward her. Annie stepped aside so he could look out the window too. Oh man, said Jack. What he saw took his breath away. He stared at a rocky gray land. The land was filled with giant craters and tall mountains. The sun was shining, but the sky was ink black. Say hello to the moon, said Annie softly. So that is the end of chapter 2. I have a couple questions that I want you to answer either to someone around you, or you can also write the answers in the comment section down below, and then I'll be able to read them. So my first question is, where are they? So make sure to talk about that or write it down below. And my second question is, how did Jack and Annie feel about being where they are? So maybe you think they feel kind of the same way. Maybe you think they feel different ways. So if you think they feel different, maybe tell me how you think Jack is feeling and how Annie's feeling. So go ahead, talk about that, comment it down below, and I'll see you soon for chapter 3.